So hot off the heels of the conclusion of Apollo versus Leonidas in round number 9, chapter 83, we already have the preview for chapter 84. Usually we do have some kind of bridge chapter. This still very well could be, but it looks like we will get the reveal of the round 10 fighter for humanity at least. Not sure if we'll find out the god, probably won't is what I would guess. A mysterious fighter who saw the previous warriors lose in the previous rounds starts moving for round 10. Other than it confirming we are going to see the human fighter, it doesn't really give us much to go on. It's probably just going to be his introduction. Who do we think this could be? Now, at first glance, mysterious fighter leads you to believe, could this be Rasputin? I think he's probably the most hyped character left on the roster that people really want to see. They're really curious to what he's going to look like, how he's going to fight and everything. He's going to be probably somebody sinister who's going to be portrayed similar to how they originally portrayed Jack the Ripper in the Hercules fight as the antagonist of the fight, even though like that kind of gets retconned later when we find out more about Jack and his spinoff. But for Rasputin's run, I fully expect him to be more villainous. But when you look at the second part of it that says who saw the previous warriors lose, it doesn't completely eliminate one of the characters we haven't seen yet from contention. They could have obviously been watching from their waiting room or whatever the case may be. But when I see that, it makes me think like, who is a character we've watched the other fights? Okita. Okita's been sitting in that room watching intently basically every single fight. Now, Okita Tsuji's first introduction to the series was actually in chapter 30 at the conclusion of Jack the Ripper's fight against Heracles. But he made reference to the fact that he watched Lu Bu, Kojiro Sasuke, and Adam fight beforehand. So he's watched every single fight of Ragnarok from that room, paying serious attention to all the details. So I think that this description most likely fits him. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I've been predicting Okita was going to go next for probably 3 rounds now, since he was shown to us all the way back in chapter 30, and yet it just keeps not happening. So one of these times, we're bound to be right. Now, previously, I thought that he was going to be fighting against Loki, and that still may be the case because they kind of set up their fight in the garden squabble between Buddha's little group and 7 Lucky Gods and Loki. But now we have a whole dynamic where the gods have 5 wins, because I was never expecting Apollo to be this kind of character that I ended up liking and ended up getting a win. I thought for sure Apollo was a guaranteed L on the gods roster. So now somebody that I previously thought was going to win has to lose. Is Loki really going to lose? If you guys think humanity's going to win, the gods are probably only getting 1 more win. And we still have powerhouses like Odin, but he might be the final boss that gets vanquished. Siegfried, though, could probably fit in on the god side roster if he's the final boss. Susanoo, who's a fan favorite for the Japanese audience. Anubis. There's so many that we have to go. And it's like, there's only 1 more win to go around. Is Loki really going to be the guy to take it? I don't know. I'm really interested to see who fights in the next round and how this shakes out. But what I will say that's very interesting about Okita is he's flanked by Kondo Isami. Now, if you guys did not know, I think a lot of people have this interpretation that Kondo is Okita's like right-hand man. Kondo is actually like Okita's boss. Kondo is the commander of the Shinsengumi force that Okita was a part of. He was just the first unit captain, but Kondo is the commander of the entire faction that the umbrella covers. So it's a little bit interesting. They even go so far as to show us this chain of command directly, when in the garden, Okita actually asked Kondo for permission to cut Loki down before making any moves on his own. Kondo then replies with yup, and then loads up his own sword for battle, and you see veins pulsing out of his arms. He says, I'll give it nothing but my utmost. Kondo's dialogue makes it seem like he is planning on fighting too, because he says they called upon only the truest warriors throughout history to be chosen to compete in Ragnarok. This is truly an honor for us. Then you basically have the fact that he has a weapon on him, his sword, and he was planning to go step up and fight in the garden right alongside Okita, Sasuke, and Buddha. So he is a fighter, and he is thinking that he's going to be able to contend with these gods as well. Like, this is different than anything we've ever seen before. We've seen some of these humans have people in the crowd, like Leonidas just had Haggis in the crowd and all his other Spartans and everything, but we've never seen somebody that's also with them that's like intending on fighting gods right alongside the character that's on the roster. Now, I don't think like he's going to join the roster or anything like that, but it's just interesting dialogue. So I'm kind of wondering, is Isami gonna be part of Okita's fight? Like, is he gonna be out there with him? Like, what are they gonna do here? It's kind of up in the air. Most likely he just watches, but the dialogue is kind of odd, if we're being honest. Because when I also look at it, if Okita was to lose, I don't see a way like Kondo survives Like, if Okita dies, I think Kondo's gone too. Like, he's not going to just stick around, I feel like. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm very interested. I'm getting more and more interested in Okita's character. And now that with this preview, if it truly is talking about Okita, my interest has been piqued even more. Because they're putting specific emphasis on the fact that Okita basically scanned, similar to Sasuke, all these fighters. Like, he saw how all these people fight. He's just been getting more and more excited to fight each and every round. He's been waiting a long time. So I'm wondering if this experience from watching the fights is going to play a factor in this fight, which is going to be something very unique because we really don't get to see that. Characters like Leonidas weren't even paying attention. Apollo, same deal, didn't even watch the tournament. Hades showed up late, watched one round. Zeus has watched the whole thing, but he went in round 2 and only had seen one round prior. Thor obviously was the first. We really haven't got emphasis on other fighters watching the entire tournament before their round or watching the fights prior to them going out. Raiden was sleeping beforehand. So this new wrinkle, man, I am all in to see where we go from here. Now, in fairness, we have seen Beelzebub, who was plotting on the Buddha Hajun whole scenario. He watched that round, I'm pretty sure, and he definitely caught glimpses of Hades versus Chin, but it didn't look like he was paying all that much attention to it. And that was also for reasons like he had invested interest in both those fights, as he was setting up Hajin to potentially challenge himself one day, and Hades was like his mentor and somebody he really revered. Of course, Odin, Loki, these characters are gonna have watched the fights as we progress, and I think Shiva watching some of the fights too, but he wasn't like really looking at anything for strategy or anything like that. He was kind of overconfident. So I think this is still a unique situation. But what do you guys think? Who do you think this mysterious fighter is going to be? There is also an outside chance though this could be Nostradamus. He's been watching some of the fights as well, although it hasn't been emphasized nearly as much as Okita. And who do you think that the gods are going to send out is a very important round that could take them all the way up to a 3-match lead, which I think is highly unlikely, unless they're going to completely stack the deck and then we're basically going to lose all predictability because it's going to be like human win, human win, human win. It's going to be like the Warriors up 3-1. I feel like for the next rounds to be kind of unpredictable, we kind of have to have the human win this round or draw. The draw thing being up in the air is also making things more unpredictable. Drop that shit in the comments below. As I said, we'll be covering Record of Ragnarok all month, so make sure you're subscribed for all of that. Make sure to check out the breakdown if you haven't already. Peace.